Touchdown, Chargers! All right, welcome to Chargers Weekly here at the Bolt with Jahleel Addae post-draft, post-press conference, getting ready for the first bit of off-season activities, rookie camp. All that stuff is coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got our list of 18 undrafted free agents that have been brought in. But Jahleel, since it was pretty much Chris and me doing the post-round draft wrap-up, figure it's important to get you in on this thing and kind of talk about your thoughts on the haul that Joe Ortiz and Chad Alexander and all those guys came up with and what they're walking into the season with in terms of rookies. Just maybe your overall perspective on all the guys that they got.
All right, when you just look at the guys that they picked, right, they filled a void in every position that we even talked about, previously weeks on the pod, right?
Right.
Starting off with Omarion Hampton, you just see who he is. We talked about him several times. Big physical running backs, quick, fast. He checks all the boxes, right? He's a guy that, Jim Harbaugh and those guys want to build this offense around. They want a big physical running back, and they got him in with the first-round pick. We talked about it before. We talked about the D tackle, Omari, right?
Yeah.
So he's big, stout, keeps his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, right? He plays very square.
For people that are listening that may not know what that means, when you say
right.
when he plays square.
So when you play square, right, as a defensive lineman, you never want your shoulders turned to the sideline, right? Because then you just get washed by and you create lanes for running backs to run. He's a guy that plays with physical, low center of gravity. His hands are on. He's square to the line of scrimmage, so he can shock and shed at any direction that he wants to, and he does that really good. I watched a lot of his film when they drafted him. I was like, okay, let me look at him, and he's double-teamed a lot.
Yeah.
And he's holding his anchor. That coach call it the anchor point, right? So he's eating up two, and then he's able to get skinny when he needs to defeat the block and make a lot of plays in the backfield.
You got them skinny ankles.
He does, man.
Big guy with skinny ankles.
Yeah,
man.
and I think just looking at their top three we talked about, they hit it out the park. And then you look at receiver, right? You look at Tre and what they did with Tre Harris, big physical guy, and he's in the SEC, so he's seeing the best of the best defensive backs week in and week out. So when you're watching that film, to be able to evaluate him, it's not a hit or miss. It's like, listen, he's going against top competition week in, week out, very, very fast. For being as tall he is and lanky as he is, he gets in and out of his breaks really, really well. And then you move over to Kyle, right? We talked about him, and I was like, hey, SEC Defensive Player of the Year in the conference and in the nation, to fall that far. I don't know how he fell that far, but I'm happy that he did, right? We talked about him being in the package, the NASCAR package, and you have just your guys that are just going on third downs. We're not worried about the run. We're just coming after the quarterback. And I think they did a really, really good job just addressing those positions that we talked about a lot of times throughout the prior to the draft. And going to get those guys. And then you looked at the tight end position, right? We talked about that a lot. And it was going to be first round, it's going to be second round, but they did their work, they did their due diligence, and they found a guy who they feel like, we said it was a deep tight end draft, right? And it was. And they were able to get their first 4 picks that they wanted, what they think that they needed. And then he was there, he was available, Florida guy. I know the high school he went to, very prestigious high school, big body type guy, big catching radius for Herbert. So I think they knocked it out the park, man. I really do. I can go on and on if you want me to, Money.
Hey,
but
you're rolling, man. You're rolling. That's why I wanted to put it out there for you.
Yeah.
Get your evaluation.
Yeah.
I'll start. You know what? Then I'll kind of sort of dig in now. We'll go player by player, because certainly the one thing that you notice, especially the position that you played at safety, specifically box safety, kind of like when you look at Omarion Hampton, the first thing that jumps out is when he gets north-south, man, it's all gas.
Yeah.
It is a freight truck. I mean, it's a tractor trailer coming at you. Challenges of being, a defensive back, when you see that come through the line with the explosion he has, the burst that he has, and why that is challenging for you.
Yeah, and it's crazy. He's a North Carolina guy, and the first thing I did, I text Trey Boston, who's he's a strong North Carolina guy. Played in North Carolina. He's still heavily involved with that program. And I said, give me your 2 cents. Yeah. He said, Jahleel, he's one of those running backs that we would watch on film, and we did not want to tackle on Sunday. That was his exact words, right? And it's just that physical presence. When you come down into the box as a box safety, which what I did majority of my career, it's almost like a Derrick Henry. You want to get them before their wheels start turning, right? If you can meet him at the line of scrimmage, if you can meet him before, he gets his pads square and he's coming downhill, that's ideal. When you have a back like Omarion Hampton who can get in and out of holes quickly, he reads the line, he reads the linebackers, he's shooting downhill, it's tough for a 5'10", 6'10", 200-pound type safety, 6 foot, 195 safety, to really want to go in there and stick your nose in there for 4 quarters and win that physical battle. It's it's challenging, and it truly is. So, like, he is what the Chargers build their franchise on, what Harbaugh builds his franchise on, is being tough, physical, and tough as nails, and that's what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much there. I think draft a running back in the first round, value, and look, values are starting to get so, I wouldn't say out of whack, but they got Najee for an incentive-laden deal that could push it to like $9 million. But you see the Trey McBride contract, and I just kind of think about that conversation around Quentin a couple years ago, and it was like, tight end, there's just not enough value there. And it's like, well, Trey McBride just got $19 million a year. George Kittle just got $20 million a year. Like the economics of football, to me, are so far beyond just not taking the right guy. Like it does, especially at 22. Like to me, you're already getting a financial. If Omarion Hampton is what we think he can become, you're going to get the bump right away. If we believe that he can be a top 10 back in this league, a top 8, a top 5 back in this league, then I mean it's worth it if you take him in the top 10. Like you're going to get financial value out of that. And I think the other thing too that we brought up, Jahleel, and just kind of from your experience being in the locker room, when you hear a coach and a coaching staff and just kind of the overall foundation of a team is physical, brutality, that's what we want to do week in and week out. This, to me, when he walks through that door and you're a teammate and you see what he looks like, it's not 5'10", 195. It's 6 foot, 225. Like, I would assume that goes a long way. Like, oh yeah, this is what coach said we're going to be. Clearly, with our first round pick, this is what we're going to be. Yeah,
100%. And it's like, okay, well, it's not. He's just not blowing hot air. He means what he's saying, and I think the guys know that already with Coach Harbaugh and what he says he means. He goes about it each and every day. I mean, coaching here last year with the coaching internship, I seen him behind closed doors. I seen him in meetings, and what he's preaching to the choir in the public, he's preaching to the choir behind closed doors. And like you said, when you see a guy come in, I keep talking about it, the physical aspect of Omarion Hampton, how big he is, how physical he is. I'm telling you now, and I was a hitting safety. I prided my game on being physical, right? Being able to come into the box play after play after play, and the only thing that's more demoralizing than having to chase around Lamar Jackson is having to tackle a running back for 4 quarters who wants all the smoke, who he wants contact, he's seeking out contact, and you got to make a business decision. It's like, hey, do I want my labrum to stay intact, or do I want to make this tackle, right? And it's a true thing. Like, it's guys look at these players like they're superheroes, but they're all human at the end of the day. And when you walk into the stadium with a team that coach is building right now that's very physical, you can have all the fancy bells and whistles, you can have the speed outside, you can have the jet sweeps, but when you got a team that's coming in with the offensive line like the Chargers do, right, and a running back, not just one but 2 that are very physical runners. Like when Omarion comes out of the game, here comes Najee. It's like you're not getting a break, right? So when you have that wears and tears not only like the 4 quarters, but over the season on teams.
Yeah, and that actually is, if you were going through strengths and weaknesses, like that's one of the concerns with Omarion is he sought out contact, took a lot of big hits, and it's like, love it, appreciate it. Let's go 50%. Let's dial it back a little bit, because obviously, but the crazy thing is, guy not only did not miss a game, barely missed a snap. Like, dude was he just would bounce right back up, and I think come right back at it.
And I think that's why Najee Harris being here is so big for him, because he's coming in with a veteran. He's coming in with a guy who's built similar to him, similar running style, right, in a way, coming out of Alabama. And then you see his career, he's been healthy. Right. So he's a guy that he's a vet that he can lean on and say, so what are you doing to take care of your body? Who works on you? What's your regimen? How do you see this? Like, okay, if you're running on the sideline and there's 2 defensive backs coming at you, this isn't college. Maybe gain an extra yard and step out to save your body from that contact, right? Now, if you're at the goal line, that's a different situation. You're lowering your shoulder. You're going to do whatever it takes to get that extra in to get into the end zone. But he's coming into a situation with a veteran that he can learn from, and I think it will benefit him a lot in the long run.
Yeah, and I think, 3 down back. I'm talking about a guy that had 25 or more touches in 8 of his 12 games, and he's 80 career targets, 2 drops, and I know the Chargers posted it on their social media feed. Go ahead and watch his pass pro. Like, that's so for all the people that are like, well, should have taken the receiver and take the back. It was a deep running back draft. It's like, not like this.
Right.
There's not the guys that can do it all, that can catch the ball, that can pass pro, that can be a hammer, that have explosiveness. Thought I had it, but I know he had a ton of explosive runs, which, explosives considered 10 or more yards. And I think he was second or third in explosive runs. So it's everything, and I think that's – but for me, we've already kind of talked a lot about Omarion Hampton, so we don't need to get too deep into it. But to me, it just kind of set the tone of this is what we're all about. This is who we're going to get. And then you mentioned Tre Harris. Like, if he doesn't get hurt, he's probably a first rounder. If not, he's in that same window of where, Higgins got drafted right there at the start of day 2. That's a guy that was 150 yards ahead of everybody else in the NCAA when he went down. Right. I mean, he was on pace for 1,800 yard season, just mind-boggling numbers in the SEC, playing for Ole Miss. And, again, just speaking to what you did out there, Jahleel, build the room. Build the wide receiver room. We always talk about it in terms of a basketball team, right? To me, you now have your power forward. Tre Harris, a power forward, man. He likes to be physical. He likes to mix it up. When you're bumping and moving downfield, he's the guy that's going up and getting the ball. He enjoys that. And I think people look at the time, the 4.5, and it's like, here, perfect. This perfect thing for you to share. Like, when you're 6'3" and you're a 4.5 guy, what's that look like to a defensive back?
It looks like low 4.4. All you see is knees and elbows, right? Like, literally, that's all you see. Like, he's eating up your ground. It doesn't matter about his speed, because let's not get it twisted. Like, a lot of people like to look at the 40 and be like, oh, he didn't run a 4.3, he didn't run a 4.4. If you're 6'3" and you're running 4.5, 4.5 is moving. Yeah. Okay? Like, at the end of the day, it's moving. Like, I've played 10 years in the league, and I played against 4.3 guys, I played against 4.4 guys, I played against 4.5 guys. At the end of the day, like, if they can get in and out of their breaks, it all looks the same. Yeah. Right? And that's what he does really, really well. He's a big physical receiver, but he can run double moves. He can run post digs. He can give you a dig. I seen on one highlight, they motioned one in, he was at 2, and then they ran one on an over, right? And technically, when you watch film, one on the over, you're clearing the zone for a dig. It's called a dagger, right? So one ran the over, right? So everybody at every corner and every safety is thinking this guy's running the dig. He hit him with a dig, dropped his hips, and came back out for like a deep out completion. Like, that's not an easy route. You don't run that with everybody. Right. Everybody's not able to do that, right? So when you look at his frame, you look at his size, and you put a 4.5 speed behind it, look, that's a good package that you have. And I know everyone wants the 4.3 and the 4.4, but I've played and I didn't run a 4.5, and I've covered wide receivers that were 4.4s. And some guys have football speed, and that's why you got to watch the film.
Yeah, that's something that Joe Ortiz said in the presser too, and it's so important because people now have access to so much advanced analytics and data that they're like, well, it was all hitches, and it was a limited route tree. It was 3 routes, and it's like, and Ortiz, Joe put it perfectly. He said, yeah, but watch the routes that aren't hitches and goes and curls, and you see it, and it's exactly what you just described. Can he dip, and can he get in and out of his breaks? How smooth is it? Changing speeds, building speeds back up, and he's got all of that. 100 yards or more 10 times out of his 20 games. And again, to me, Ladd is a 2-guard. He can do it all, man. He's going to score. He can play D. He can handle the ball if you want him to. Now you got your power forward. Q, I think we're trying to, can he be that 3 and D guy? Is that kind of, and then you get Keandre Lambert-Smith in the 5th round, and that's kind of your point guard, right? Smaller, kind of gets pushed around a little bit, but if he gets free, look out, man, because that's where that 4.3 time shows up. You mentioned Gadsden, and, I think in terms of tight end, you look at what they have. You got Tucker Fisk, and block his tail off. You got Will Dissly, one of the 3 best blocking tight ends in the league. You needed the athlete. Because I felt like oftentimes we talked a lot about, man, it'd be great to get Stone Smart out there a little bit more, get a little more reps for the athlete at the tight end position. This is a joker. This is a guy that was a wide receiver, converted tight end, 58% of his snaps in the slot, 32% in line, 9% out wide. Right. Like, he's your athlete.
1,000%.
Don't talk about his blocking. They say he's a capable blocker, that he's fine. You're not turning it down, but that's what he is.
And then it's crazy because you have 2 catching tight ends where you have Tyler Conklin in the game, and you have, we're looking at 12 personnel, right? So who is the safety going to come down to? Now teams have to play you in nickel, which means they have to take a linebacker out of the game. But in 12 personnel, you create extra running lanes, so you still have a strong running game. Now, if you come in and you stay with base, then we spread you out, and now we're attacking you in the pass. If you come in with nickel trying to defend the pass because we have 2 pass-catching tight ends, now you can run the game. So it's chess, man. It's not checkers, and the Chargers are really, really good at doing that.
Yeah. So those are the offensive players. Branson Taylor, I wish I could share. I don't know if you want to share anything on the big tackle out of Pittsburgh. Looks like he's just traits, giant dude, 2-year starter, 2 knee injuries, probably one of the reasons why he slipped. But, former basketball player, 6'6", 320, 33-inch arms. That's what I got for you. So there we go. Those are your offensive players. Get to the defense, and obviously on a bigger picture, the defense as a whole with Jesse Minter. Well, what a treat, Jahleel. Coach Minter joining us right now, and I'm going to start with this, Coach, because I bite your style, man. I don't know if coaches get to choose their own gear, but he was wearing a quarter zip last year, and I had my eyes on it. I'm like, I got to figure out how to find that thing. It took me a while. I finally tracked it down, got one, and now you come in with the best-looking hoodie that we've seen. Is that all you? Is that what they give you?
No, this is, shout out to the equipment room. You know, they give us the good stuff, and like to wear what's comfortable and what sort of fits my style. So
it's a good
they give us great options, and so shout out to them.
Yeah, it's a good style.
I mean, it's the powder blue. You're a good-looking dude, Jess. But the powder blue and the yellow, that's a combination and a half, dude.
It looks good on anybody.
No doubt, no doubt.
We saw I'll start with some of the free agents that signed, and it was interesting listening to Benjamin St. Juste kind of talk about how he got here, and obviously starting at Michigan. But the one thing that really stood out is something you hear a lot. He's like, I know how important this moment in my career is, a pivot point, and Coach Minter just seems to always have guys in the right spot and doing what are their strengths. Kind of take us through how you do that. There's so many different guys. How can you get all of them to be in the right place and doing the right things that play to their strengths?
It's a player-driven game, and I think when you realize that, you understand that. I don't know if as a young coach I fully understood that. It's about taking the people that you have available and not complaining about what you don't have, not worrying about what you might have the next year. It's like, what do we have for this particular moment? What's available to us? What can they do well? What are their strengths? Where do we need to maybe protect them at times? And to me, that's just how tried to learn the game, and so it's not magical. It's not always perfect, but I think the guys now have a belief in how we play and what we're trying to do that they make me look good more than I make them look good. So.
Great questions, great answer. So, Coach, I got a question for you. We was talking on the podcast before you came on. We were covering Jamaree, right? Mm-hmm. And I was saying how he plays really, really square to the line of scrimmage. And Money was like, well, explain that to, the audience who don't understand what playing square means, right? Can you explain in just a better depth than I did how much it means to have a guy who can take up 2, play square to the line of scrimmage, low center of gravity, and what that can do by creating a new line of scrimmage for your defense? Yeah,
to me, it's up front is about, creating a new line of scrimmage, creating knockback on the offensive line. And so what Jamaree is able to do is at times play with penetration through gaps and shooting gaps, at times play square, take on double teams. And when we talk about playing square and big, it's like if you were watching the game from the end zone behind our defense, in my opinion, to be good, you would want to be able to read everybody's jersey number as the play's going on. And guys that get turned, guys whose shoulder turn, you have more of an opportunity to get washed, get pushed down by offensive line, which creates movement for them. They're now creating movement. They're creating a new line of scrimmage. And so the ability to play square, knock the offensive line back, clears things up for the second level, clears things up for the third level. And everything about being good on defense starts with the ability of having guys up front to be able to do that. And so we're super excited about him and the guys we added in free agency, some of our returning players that we feel we can be improved on the D-line as well.
If we just stick with Jamaree, it's funny is someone, we covered the draft and it's all the buildup and you've got months, so you've got a million different, this guy's top 150 and this is the depth and how they rank. And it just seemed like when Jamaree got picked, based on where he was slotted on all of those lists, everybody they lit up. They just glow. But hey, you watch Derek Harmon, this guy pops off the tape. When you described him, it sounded like Poona Ford. It almost sounded like you were describing exactly what Poona did. So how do you identify those guys and why, judging by the contract you got Poona on last year and where you drafted Jamaree, why maybe are they not seen or valued as high?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the last part. I think teams certainly have their own style of evaluations, their own style of defense that they're trying to play. For us, it's like you got to be big enough to hold up, so there's a size requirement needed. And then to me, it's like, do you have good enough feet to be able to be athletic, to push the pocket, to win one-on-ones on guards or centers in the passing game? And when you watch his film, it's really cool because he's played really in two different systems in college. He played at Houston in a very penetrating, get up the field, cause havoc. He was very successful doing that. And then he goes to Oregon, a defensive system that have seen a bunch over the years on tape. Their guys play square. At times they're two-gapping. They also do some movements. And so what he's been asked to do the last 2 years and been able to put on tape really jumped off the tape at us. As you mentioned, I mean, yeah, we're watching a lot of times it happens. You're watching a guy, another guy starts showing up on the tape. Then you do your evaluation on him, and it just, sort of just makes everything make great sense of the type of player he is. To me, it's great value for us at the spot we got him at. Yeah. And I think he's got a chance to come in and be an immediate contributor. I do see some similar qualities to Puna in his skill set, and major shout out to Puna Ford. I mean, the way that he played this past year, he took a chance on us as coaches, as an organization. Super happy for him and his family for what he was able to get. And so it's like, yeah, you do got to find a guy that can maybe replace those things. And feel great about Jamaree and excited to get him here over this next couple weeks.
Just speaking of Puna and getting the deal, and like you said, great. I mean, played his tail off and was just an incredible reason for the team's success. How does that help you in free agency when something like that happens and a guy ends up getting a deal like that, coming here on a prove-it deal?
Yeah, I think we had a couple guys like that.
Yeah.
Really, I think Christian Fulton, the same thing, man. Yeah. Just the respect and love I have for both those guys when they come in. You when you go through a season together, you become really, really close. I mean, you're in the trenches, you're counting on each other, you're working together, you're working really hard. And so both those guys, we kind of pointed at of like, hey, let's get them here. Yeah, they were certainly on maybe prove it type of contracts, whatever that is. And both certainly have now, help their own futures, their own families' futures with the deals that they got. So it does. It makes, like Ben talking earlier, it makes him see a couple of those type of guys, and it's like, okay, now I kind of want to put myself in that position. And so it's something that we did talk about with some of the guys of the ability to come here and hopefully be put in position to take advantage of your skill set. And so it was a good selling point having a few guys like that. And then ultimately, Elijah was kind of in the same boat. Yeah. And that was one we were able to re-sign. So you always want to try to re-sign all those guys. The way it works, you can't re-sign everybody. That's just the nature of salary cap and the way the league works. But man, just happy for those guys and how they played. Them and their families now happy that we got some of them back, and then happy that we're able to kind of add some new ones and see if we can do that for a couple more guys this year.
I'm sure you can, Coach. I'm sure you can. So I was undrafted, right? And obviously safety, and you guys play a lot of safeties with the three safety rotation with Derwin, Elijah, Alohi, allowing Derwin to play close to the line of scrimmage. And for those who may not be familiar with R.J. Mickens, right, a 6th-round draft pick out of Clemson. And if you're R.J. and you're watching this podcast and you want an opportunity to make this squad, you're a late-round draft pick, you see that they do use safeties a lot in this defense. Obviously, special teams is majority of what he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do. But what are you looking for in a young safety? Like, how versatile does he have to be? What do you see, and what makes you light up about a young safety? Like, this guy, I trust him. I want to see him out there make plays.
Yeah, and kind of the way that I look at safeties is there's a couple different types. There's the types that are more maybe back guys first, where when you're playing split safeties and guys in the post, they have the ability to be an eraser. They have ball skills. They have anticipation. They're really good tacklers in the open field. That's what I see with RJ. He also does have the versatility. So he's kind of got a little bit of combination of both types of guys. But you look at our roster, and really all three of those guys have some versatility, but a couple of them are maybe built better to stay back, to not be as close at times. They can still get the guys down if they break through. They got great route anticipation. They got great ball skills. They got great communication skills. And then you got a guy like DJ, where the closer you can get that guy to the ball, the better he is. Exactly. And it doesn't matter. If you just knew where the ball was going, you'd want to put him at the point of attack. And so that's what we try to do with him. Teams know that, so at times they do things away from him or whatever. But he is really impactful when he's up close, when he's attacking, when he's playing fast and physical and free. He's great in the run game. So when you're playing with some of these lighter boxes that by playing split safety, you need a nickel or a guy from the perimeter that can come in late and be a really physical presence in the run game. And so, we have a lot of versatility now in that room. RJ, you mentioned it, special teams, but also just, hey, come in, learn those back spots first. I think when you learn that first, and then maybe have the ability to move forward as he develops.
Yes, sir.
One thing during the draft that you'll hear, and I just feel, I'm sure fans love it, but there's so much coming at them. Is there, this is a great corner for them because they play zone X percentage of the time, or they play a lot of quarters. And so I look at Bridges and just kind of looks like a press man corner, and then they say, the Chargers play more zone than almost. So kind of walk us through, if you don't mind. We love kind of doing this with people that listen and watch. As people are talking about these, how they describe you versus how you see yourself and what you're looking for in a corner, in a zone corner, a boundary corner, a press man corner, and why you're drafting these guys or signing these guys.
It goes back a little bit to the first question of, like, you take what you have and you utilize what their skill sets are. So, I've been in rooms where you got a bunch of really good man guys. Guess what? Our man percentages would probably be a lot higher. So I think at corner, you're always trying to draft guys that can play man first, that have that ability to match up on all the elite receivers that we have to defend, but also have some sense. And I don't think you can be a scheme where you play exclusive against the quarterbacks that we play against. It doesn't matter what the coverage is. You can't play the same coverage over and over again without them eventually figuring out the holes, the weak spots, whatever. So, whether you're spinning zones or whether you're spinning man, to me, it's like it's what you have. It's what your players are good at. It's what they're best at. It's what, maybe in a situational you can sprinkle something in that you haven't done as much because it may catch them by surprise. So I would like to play more man. But I'm also going to always do what our guys do well and try to put them in position to be successful. So when we're looking at corners in the draft, I do think it starts with the ability to play man, but also having some sense. He is a very versatile piece in the secondary. He has started games at both corner and safety. He's a really good open field tackler. And so that ability, once again, all these guys to move around, to play different positions, when you're at this level, and from being, there's a numbers game, and you may have 10 DBs on your roster for an entire season, and you're going to have guys that go down. And I've always told Clink and I, our secondary coach, works so well together, because if our starting whatever safety or corner goes down, I want the next best defensive back into the game. And it's whoever that is, whatever position they're on
Marcus
paper
Mann,
as.
Eli Apple on 3 days of practice.
The next best guy into the game. So guys that have the versatility, Ben's the same way. Ben's played in the slot before. He's played outside. D-Jack has played all over the secondary in his time. Tarheeb did that as a rookie. And so really just the versatile pieces. But make no mistake about it, I do think at corner it starts with being able to cover people. And so there's a little bit of like, well, they're a zone team, and I hope that stays out there as the narrative. So
we'll keep pushing it for you.
Most definitely. I got one more for you. So Kyle Kennard, right? SEC Player of the Year, National Player of the Year, falls around 4. And to me, I was telling Money, I think he's one of the steals of the draft. Just what he brings in the aspect of pass rushing. When you look at a guy like him, and obviously I from what I've watched, he's not right now, he's not a first and second down guy. I see him as like a NASCAR package guy, right? Pin your ears back, get after the quarterback, third down. Do you see the similarities in what I'm saying about him when you watch his tape, when you evaluated him, and what you're getting out of him as a pass rusher?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that replaces production.
Yeah.
And when you look at his production in the SEC, when you got, to me, it's like there's the Big Ten and the SEC. However you want to rank them, I'm staying out of that argument. But the SEC always leads the draft in picks.
Of course.
They had a tackle go with the 4th pick in the draft that this guy lined up against and rushed against, and had some really good opportunities, some really good one-on-ones. And so the production speaks for itself. You don't become SEC Defensive Player of the Year or win the Nagurski Award if you're not a really dominant player in that conference. And so I do think his path early is as a rusher, but I also think his game really translates to how we play on every down. He's walking into a room with 2 really strong veterans to learn from, a young guy that's ascending that's also a guy to learn from. And I think there's a lot of similarities, maybe not in their play style, but Thule, super productive college player, and the sack numbers and things like that. Same thing with Kyle. And so I think, Kyle was at another school, an older player. Sometimes those factors, for whatever reason, may hurt a guy sliding in the draft, but we couldn't be more excited to get him. Whatever spot we were in, that's a guy that I know myself and Dylan Roney, who works with our edges, we had targeted as a guy we really liked. And so super excited to get him and excited to see the impact that I think he'll make for us.
You kind of have 2 other draft picks, sort of. I mean, just based on playing time in Colston and Eboigbe. So kind of walk us through their development.
Yep.
I mean, Colston's different because of the injury, but Eboigbe, it felt like Coach Elston had said, hey, this is probably a developmental process. He told us that right after the draft. Just kind of where he is and what the view is for each of those guys going into this year.
Yeah, Justin, start with Justin. I mean, this guy, I know he's a competitor, and anytime you're a competitor and you don't play as much as your competitive self wants you to play, there can be frustrating times. I give him a lot of credit for keeping his head down, working, developing, getting better as the season went on. And after the season, some of the conversations were just around the ability to make a big jump from year 1 to year 2. And so many guys do that. I think it's more rare to have the rookies come in and have success, maybe like the corners were able to do. Yeah. And it's more normal to get your feet wet a little bit as a rookie, and now you know what it's like, and now you develop, and now your second year you really step in there. So, not to put super high expectations on Justin, but we do have high expectations for him. I could not be more proud and excited of the work that he's put in. He's put on 20-plus pounds since the end of the season. He's trained with Coach Herb quite a bit, which I'm really excited about because I know the impact that he can have on guys in their development. And so he's in a great place right now. He's got another really good room, but now I think he's in a better position physically to do some of the things that we need him to do. And he's in a great place going into year 2 to be able to help us.
Right, so, and then obviously with Junior,
Junior. I think similarly, and that's when you pick a guy 3rd round, you have a couple older linebackers on the team. I think at this time last year, didn't really know the development the track that Dayon might go on. Obviously, super excited about him and what he was able to do. And so Junior kind of suffered a few, I don't want to call them flukes because nothing's really a fluke, but he had an appendectomy right before camp started, missed most of training camp, in and out with a few things. He's another one that he's spent a lot of time here, spent a lot of time with Coach Herb, getting back to kind of the training that I know he's used to, and getting his body right. And another guy that, and you said it, I told the defensive staff, I really feel like in the front 7, it's really four 4 draft choices, 4 young guys where we needed to add younger pieces when you just look at the future of the roster and how it's built. So super excited about both those guys, and both will have major opportunities to help us.
All right, get you out on this. Just a quick one. I know your defensive side of the ball, but you try to figure out who all these undrafted free agents are, and going through and watching. I don't think I've ever been so excited on a highlight package as Steve O'Klotz and those fullback blocks. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to. Is there any reason to get that excited about it? I mean, I know it's not the most physical conference in the Big 12, but man, that dude just wrecked people as a fullback. It was a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, those guys are hard to find, and I mean, there's. You look at a couple of the top fullbacks in the NFL, and it's people taking people from other positions, trying to train them to do that, which obviously we've done with Scott, and he did a great job as a two-way player last year, kind of filling that role. But anytime you get some guys like that, just excited to see it in training camp. Once the pads are on and see the physicality of players like that. When you build an offense like we do, it only makes the defense better, because you can't be a physical defense without practicing against a physical offense. And so I think we have a great benefit practicing against what our guys do, both in the run game and the pass game. Justin Herbert, all the weapons now that Joe, I think, did a phenomenal job in the draft, just helping the roster in general. It's not an offense versus defense thing. It's how can we add great players to make the team better. Team success overrides everything. So very excited about all the guys we were able to add, and look forward to getting them here next weekend with rookie minicamp. Yeah, we're excited as well, Coach. Asked you for a lot of time. You gave it to us. Certainly appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Jahleel. Well, good way to kind of get the off-season program started with one of our favorite coaches. Coach Menard, just so insightful. Really, you learn something every time you sit down with him. Chargers incredibly lucky to have him here, because we said it last year, and we're going to say it again this year. I feel like it ain't going to be long, man. It ain't going to be long before that guy gets the head job.
I agree with you. We were talking about it, like what he did with the defense last year, the pieces he had to plug in when injuries happened, and he touched on a little bit, and just, using players at their strengths, their weaknesses, and that's not an easy thing to do, right? A lot of coaches aren't able to do that, and that's why he's one of the best in the game right now. Yeah, and I think if I could just focus on one thing he talked about, for me, it's Eboigbe, and because there was production there at Alabama, and you get excited about him coming in from that kind of program with that sort of production. And you heard Coach Elston say, yeah, he's more of a developmental player, and that's exactly what it was. So to hear that he's ready to take that next step, you saw it in the SEC. And, man, that would be a huge get for them, along with Caldwell, along with Hand, and all those guys, and Jones, the guys that they signed, because we know how important that middle of the line is to the success of this defense. Yeah. All right, well, that's a recap again on the draft. There's 18 UDFAs. When all these rookies get out here, we're going to keep breaking it down, keep moving forward. Hopefully, Jahleel, we see you real soon. Going to be maybe a little while as he embarks upon another phase of his professional career. But we'll always be here, ready and willing to have you back to break it all down. Appreciate you, man. It's been a pleasure. All right, everyone, enjoy it. We'll be back again next week, and we'll be talking about more and more of these young players as they start to arrive and the off-season program gets underway. Meanwhile, thanks for watching. Rate, review, share, whatever you feel comfortable doing. It always helps us spread the word. And bolt up.